Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Assistant Professor Ramdas Pandit Bharsat. In this video lecture, we are going to study about variation of heat of reaction with a temperature, and we call also Kirchhoff's equation. Generally, heat evolve or absorb in a reaction is totally depends on the temperature. And change in heat of the reaction with temperature. This relation was given by Kirchhoff in 1856 and is stated as the change in the heat of reaction at constant pressure for every degree of temperature is equal to the change in the heat capacity at constant pressure accompanying the reaction. That means at a constant pressure, you will change the heat of reaction with the temperature. See here, consider the general reactions. In this case, a reactant gives product B. Okay, in this way you can see. And in the first case, when the reaction is carried out at constant pressure, and in this case here, heat of the reaction at temperature T1 is equals to change in heat. Okay, or you can say delta H1, and heat of the reactions at temperature T2 is equals to delta H2. Like this you can see here, starting from A at temperature T1, we can reach B at temperature T2 by 2 second path or first path. Okay, now first of all we have to consider path first. That means you can say route first. Okay, in this way you can see if we performing the reaction at temperature T1 to obtain B at the same temperature. Okay, and then heat up to this temperature T2, and in these reactions heat evolves, that is delta H1. You can see here this is first stage, and in the second stage heat is absorbing. Okay, that is you can see in bracket Cp B in bracket T2 minus T1, and in bracket Cpb is equals to average molar heat capacity of the product. And in this process heat is evolving, that is you can say net heat evolve is equals to the change in enthalpy is given. Okay, that is delta H1 minus in bracket Cp B in bracket T2 minus T1. So this is if we perform the reaction through the path first or route first. We got here net heat evolve is delta H1 minus in bracket Cp B in bracket T2 minus T1. And what will happen if we perform the reaction by second path? Okay, and in this case first of all we have to heat up to the reactant. Okay, and to the temperature T2, and then perform the reaction to give the product at same temperature. And in the first step you can see it is absorbed, that is in bracket Cp A T2 minus T1, and in this equation in bracket Cp A is equals to average molar capacity of the reactant. And the second stage heat evolve, that is you can see delta H2. So in this way you can say the net heat evolve is equals to delta H2 minus in bracket Cp A T2 minus T1. That means you can see same in the both case, that is initial state and final state. Therefore, by the law of conservation of energy, we can see here like this: net heat evolve route first is equals to net heat evolve route second. So that is you can write in this way, that is delta H1 minus in bracket CPB T2 minus T1 is equals to delta H2 minus in bracket CPA T2 minus T1. And we can arrange in this way also, delta H2 plus delta H1 divided by T2 minus T1, it's a common term, is equals to the change in CPB, or we can say change in heat capacity molar product, or molar heat capacity of the products. Okay, like this we have seen at a constant pressure when we perform the reaction in first route and second route, we have got same condition. Okay, if you keep constant volumes, what will happen that times, that we have to see now. That is, you can see when the reaction is carried out at a constant volume, and it's a thermodynamic relation. Okay, so you can write here a change in enthalpy, or delta H is equals to delta U plus P delta V. In this equation you can see here delta H means the change in enthalpy or heat. Okay, and delta U means the change in internal energy, and P means the pressure, and delta V means the change in volume, or you can see here at constant volume. Now, under the condition of constant volume, that is delta V is equals to 0, that means the constant volume, you will get delta H is equals to delta U. Yes, the equation derived above, it's, you can see like this, delta U2 plus delta U1 divided by T2 minus T1, that is equals to delta CV. And in this case, delta CV is equals to bracket CVB minus CVA. In this case, change in heat capacity at constant volume. And in this case, CVB and CVA are mean molar heat capacities at constant volume. So in this way, like at a constant pressure, if you keep constant volume, so you can say this, the change in the heat of reaction at constant volume for every degree of temperature is equal to the change in the heat capacity at constant volume accompany the reaction. Now, based on this concept, we have to see example on that. So you can see here, example is given. Calculate the heat of HCl at 348 Kelvin from the following data. You can see here, reaction is given, half H2 in gas form plus half Cl2 in gas form. It gives HCl, it is gas form, and energies you can see delta H degree 298 is equals to minus 92300 joules, and the mean heat capacity over this temperature range are, for the H2 in gas form, Cp is equals to 28.53 Jk inverse per mole. Okay, second range is given, Cl2 in gas form, Cp is equals to 32.26 Jk inverse per mole, and third range is HCl gas, again Cp is equals to 28.49 Jk inverse per mole. So all this data we have given. Now we have to calculate heat of the HCl at 348 Kelvin. Okay, now see the solution. You can see the equation is given, in that you can write in this way, delta Cp is equals to in bracket Cp for the HCl minus half Cp for the H2 minus half Cp for the Cl2. Okay, now we have to put this range values, you can say in this way 28.49 for the HCl, half in bracket 28.53 for the H2, and minus half in bracket 32.26 for the Cl2. And if you will calculate this, you will get 1.91 decay inverse per mole. And for the delta H1, that much value is given at a T1 to 98 Kelvin. Okay, so what will value for the delta H2? Delta H1 values is given minus 92300 joule. Okay, so what will be value for the delta H2 that we have to calculate according to the Kirchhoff's equation? That is, we know that delta H2 plus delta H1 divided by T2 minus T1 is equals to delta Cp, or we can write in this way also, delta H2 is equals to delta H1 delta Cp in bracket T2 minus T1. So with the help of this formula, we have to calculate change in heat of the HCl. Okay, so in this way we have to put these values. We know here delta H1 values is given here. Okay, minus 92300 joules. Okay, and plus this way delta Cp that we have calculated already here, that is value 1.91. Okay, okay, and we have to put this value here, and into that T2 is given already, that is 348 Kelvin minus 298, that is here T1. So simply we have to calculate in this way, so you will get that much values. Okay, minus 92395.5 joules. So in this way we have to calculate change in heat for the specific molecules. Okay, now we have to see the next topic, that is third law of thermodynamics. Okay, and in this case we have already know that is what is meant by thermodynamics. Now we have to see what is the third law of thermodynamics. To study of third law of thermodynamics, we should know three terms. In that, the first one is the entropy. The entropy means, you know, that the measurement of disorder. Okay, and disorder means the movement of molecules. For example, you can see if you take water in beaker and if you will give heat to that system, or that water, what will happen? That liquid water will convert to the gas state. Okay, and that gas state molecules will get large movement. That means when water molecules present in a liquid state, that times they have less movement. Okay, but they are in a gas state, that times they have large amount of movements. Okay, it means you can simply say when the molecules having in a liquid state, that times the entropy is less. Okay, and when they are in a gas state, that times the entropy is high. Okay, now the second term is a perfect crystal. If you consider this kind of crystal, they have perfect shape, means they have rigid body. Okay, that's why no more movement of molecules, you can say here, because they having fixed shape. Okay, and now next term, that is the absolute zero temperature. Again you have to consider water. It was having 0 degrees Celsius temperature, that means you can say it is in a solid state, that you can say it is a ice. That means you can see there is a no movement of molecules, or you can say water molecules. Okay, that means it having the minimum entropy, where below the 0 degrees Celsius of water molecules. Okay, that is The temperature is minus 27 or minus 273.15 degree Celsius. And hence the third law of thermodynamics says the entropy of all perfect crystalline solids at absolute zero temperature is exactly zero, that we have seen in this way. Okay. Now we have to see the importance of third law of thermodynamics. Why we have to study of third law of thermodynamics, that we have to see now. In that, the first one is it does not mention that entropies are zero and E is equals to zero, okay, but implies that all the perfect substances have same entropy at that temperature. And the second is, you can see, it allows calculations of absolute entropies of elements and compounds at any temperature from thermal data that we have seen. Now, what are the limitations of third law of thermodynamics that we have to see? In that, the first one is third law of thermodynamics applicable only for the pure and crystalline substances only. Second one is the experimental values are not in agreement with each other in case of molecular system like carbon monoxide. Okay. And the third one is molecular vibrations are not shows completely even at 0 Kelvin. So all these limitations we have to remember, okay, in third law of thermodynamics. The next one is applications, where we can use of third law of thermodynamics that we have to see. The first one is it is help in the calculations of the absolute entropy of a substance at any temperature, that is capital T given. Okay. And the next is these determination are based on the heat capacity measurements of the substance. We have no different substances having the different heat capacity. So we have to measure that heat capacity of different substances with the help of third law of thermodynamics. We can determine the heat capacity by using third law of thermodynamics.